Hey guys, Rick the Welder back, and today I've got a couple friends that came over. We've got Dave Sanchez.
Oh, hey.
And Smokey J. Dave was gracious enough to lend me a couple of his GoPros, so hopefully the video footage will be a little bit better looking than that intro. So today we're doing the first step on putting all of this into the cab of the truck. So what we've got, quick rundown, we've got a Retro Sound Hermosa deck, some Helix 4-inch dash speakers, some odds and ends, face plates and knobs and whatnot for the Retro Sound, Kenwood amplifier, and a set of Focal 6x9s. These were all set up a pretty good deal by this gentleman here, Keith at Sounds Good in Coquitlam. If you guys are interested, head down, see Keith, he'll hook you up. He got me a pretty good deal on this stuff, so I'm very happy and I'm quite excited to put it all in. So, safety first guys, just remember, always disconnect the negative side of your battery before you start messing with anything electronic, because you could start crossing wires and making sparks where you don't want them. Okay, let's get started.
So it turns out GoPros aren't as super easy to set up as we had originally thought, and by the time it was all said and done, Dave and Jay had to leave. So thankfully I got them to help me pull out the bench, which made it a lot easier with a second set of hands. And you'll notice on the mounting brackets on the seat, we covered it with tape to avoid any potential scratches. So if you've never taken off a door panel off of a Chevy truck before, there's a couple very important things that you got to remember that'll make your life a whole lot easier. Number one are these things. These are the little decorative clips that go over top of the pull handle, and this part right here is what you got to worry about. These will always snap off on the most inopportune times, so you got to be real delicate with them. Keep in mind this is 30-plus-year-old plastic you're dealing with. The way these come off very easily is while it's mounted on the door panel, put a little bit of pressure on the outside edge where the hook is and push it in towards the center of the door and lift out. Then it'll just pop off with these two little hooks off the door panel and everything will come off nice and kosher. So here we've got the driver's side door panel, and I've just put the handle bucket and the pull strap back on for demonstration purposes. What I'm going to show you is the total of 11 screws that you're going to have to remove before this door panel wants to come free of this door. So, obvious ones are the 4 down on the bottom of the door panel. There are 2 that are just inside the armrest. There are 2 inside the release handle bucket. And there are 2 on the pull strap. So a lot of you guys, okay, well Rick, that's fine, but that's only 10. Where's the 11th? Well, it's that sneaky little bugger right there. This is the one, if anything, that you're going to miss. It will probably be this one, and you'll be pulling and grunting on this thing and possibly breaking it. So be very careful. Make sure that you remove that. For those of you who have the handy-dandy little door pocket, you'll notice that there are 2 screws here. These do not have to come out in order for the door panel to come off. These just go through the door panel and hold the pocket on in place. A helpful tip I wanted to offer up Using power tools makes your life a lot easier when dealing with fasteners, but when you're reinstalling bolts, make sure that you get the threads going a couple of turns before you zap it down with a power tool. Otherwise, you run the risk of just ruining those threads, and as a result, you're going to have to re-tap the hole, and it's much more trouble than what it's worth. So now that the dash bezel is out of the way, you can get a better view of what the underside of the dash looks like. So you can see there was some repair work that I had to do. I ended up finding somebody who was scrapping one of these trucks and actually cut the appropriate pieces of sheet metal out of the other dashboard and tack welded them into place. Previous owner had put a single DIN radio into this, so which is why the dash had been cut. Ended up finding a nice cherry insert piece that hadn't been cut, so when I came across that, I couldn't pass up that opportunity. So I repaired the sheet metal on the dash, and in went the Custom Auto Sound deck. As far as fitment goes, I think the Custom Auto Sound deck did the trick very nicely. I believe these holes do have a little bit of a slot in them, so they take most post-style radios. And again, the fitment was really good on this. I had to fiddle a little bit with the bezel so that it would fit into the dash insert. Other than that, it went in pretty nicely. So now that you guys had a quick peek at that, let's keep the ball rolling and keep going to take out that dash pad to get the corner speakers out from underneath. Well, more than likely these original factory holes can no longer be used, so depending, I might make another little pot similar to that I can mount the 4-inch in, but in the interest of height, I'm probably just going to end up drilling new holes in the dash. Again, being as careful as I can. I may have to get creative with that bit, because obviously with the windshield in place, I am not going to be able to get a drill in there to pop a hole for the front. So on the driver's side, it is a little bit of a tighter fit. You can see that 4-inch does not even really want to go in. It's getting hung up on pretty much everything in that dash. So the original factory pot sat slightly higher up, so it had a little bit more room so it didn't sink all the way down in. So again, I may need to create another little bracket to hold that speaker, because I want to do the minimal amount of cutting as possible. Now, because it's such a tight fit, this A-pillar is going to have to be removed. I've got to be careful of the wiring that's going up to my temperature and compass rear view mirror. I can save that upgrade and tutorial for another video. However, I do not want to risk hitting that dash, or the gauge cluster, I should say, with the Dremel. So unfortunately, this is going to have to be removed, or at the very least loosened and pulled out so that it can get out of the way for that multi-tool to get in there. Okay folks, looks like we've got our first brain fart fail of the project so far, which, in all honesty, for me is not too shabby. Turns out I had put this radio into the truck before I had installed air conditioning in from a different parts vehicle. So as a result, what I have found just now is all of the ducting running from the heater box to the driver's side AC vent is completely blocking the radio in. So all of that's going to have to come out too before the radio will come out. Now, the reality is I'm probably not going to keep the Custom Auto Sound deck coming out, so I don't necessarily have to be super gentle with it, but obviously I want to make sure that there's enough room for the new retro sound to go in without bashing it around anything under the dash.
So it's going to be a bit more work, but all of that's got to get stripped out. So for those of you who've got AC trucks, again, installing a radio is not rocket science in one of these trucks, but at the same time, be prepared that a lot of the interior is going to have to come out, depending on how many components you're going to be reinstalling or installing for the first time. So all in all, the removal of the old components went fairly smoothly, and although there's a bit of prep work to do tomorrow, there's just a bit of cleanup to do tonight, and I'm calling it a day.